Welcome to Prime Life. We call it Retirement 2.0. Leave each episode with tips and new ideas to help you navigate retirement in our new age. It's your time. Make it count.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Prime Life podcast. I'm Mary Crean. My guest today, I've known her over the years. Her daughter and my daughter, Kelly and Alex, they were best buds in the day, playing basketball and sharing a lot of their school age, elementary and middle school. Her name is Patrina Dixon, and she and her family have a warm place in my heart always, always, always. But this is what you're going to hear about her is pretty cool. She's the founder and CEO of It's My Money, a financial education company helping individuals and families build confidence around money, investing, and entrepreneurship through relatable, real-life strategies. Patrina, welcome to the Prime Life podcast. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself and also how you named your company, because I know that story.
Mary, thank you so much for having me here today. And you're right, we've known each other, our families have known each other for so long. So this is a pleasure to be here talking about one of my favorite topics with one of my favorite people. So
thank you.
Yeah, so it's My Money, as Mary mentioned, is a financial education company, and its name came from actually my daughter Kelly. Long ago, when she was much younger, my mom and I took her to the mall, and we had given her money for her birthday, and the mall trip was for her to decide what she wanted to do with that money. And as she was going through trying to pick out what she wanted, and then landed on a decision, we kind of and she saw the reaction we had as to, are you sure that's what you want to do? And she said, it's my money. And wow. And that was like an eye opener for her because it was, and we had brought her to say that she could make that decision. So years later, after that situation, when I first started, I wrote a book in addition to having my company, and I was searching for the title of the book. And it dawned on me like, wow, that experience with Kelly when she was much younger resonated with what I wanted the brand to be about. So it's not just a company, it's also a brand and the title of the book. And it was like, it's my money and I want to make the best decisions. I want to be the best steward of it. So I want to learn more about it so that I can do that. So that's how the naming came about. And it's a name that I actually trademark as well.
Well, I love that. And I've watched your career over the years on different platforms, and I've been pretty amazed by what you've done. And on Prime Life, we talk a lot about finances and money and caregiving and all the things that we go through in our lives and our journey. And we don't always know what's going to happen, but we know that finances can be a source of some joy, some heartache, some worrisome, and all of those things.
Absolutely.
So why do so many adults feel stressed or overwhelmed when it comes to money?
Yeah, so a lot of what I'm going to share all of what I'm going to share is going to come from lived experiences, meaning my own. And then as I've been doing this work now for over 9 years, people that I've interacted with that share the same sentiment. And that is people are overwhelmed. They are don't know what they don't know about money and how if your money mindset doesn't shift, how that even learning about money, you can't apply that when you're stressed. So most people are overwhelmed when it comes to money for that reason. They just don't know what they don't know. They are afraid of the unknown, meaning like, okay, am I gonna, not be with a job? Am I gonna not be with a loved one or a significant other? So sometimes it's scarcity mindset that causes them to be overwhelmed. The rising costs that they have no control over, which is why I do the work that I do, because when you are prepared and you manage what you do have, it gives you a sense of empowerment. So I think that's why a lot of people are stressed, because of the unknown and a lot of things they can't control, but there are some things that are controllable, and that's the part that we work on together.
I love that. And we talk a lot about longevity, and part of that unknown is we don't know how long we're going to live, right? And we don't like to think about it. We often don't even like to talk about it, but I know that's part of the financial picture. So, Patrina, what are some of the biggest financial mistakes that you see people make, and how can they potentially avoid them?
Yeah, so one of the biggest ones is avoiding things in its entirety. Sometimes I infuse my story in. It used to be I have all the bills, they stack up on the kitchen table, and I just walk by them. Like I don't even open them. So it's avoiding them. It's feeling like they don't make enough to take care of what they do. That's another thing why people avoid them. And some of what they can do to get into a better place is, again, the money mindset shift. I can do this. I'm going to take little steps in order to do it. Oftentimes, especially when you have when you have a lot of debt or a lot of things going on, you want to have a huge fix instead of taking baby steps. So it's like understanding what you have going on, taking baby steps to figure it out. And if you are unable to do it alone, just like with any other thing in your life, work with an expert to get that done. So I think that, is one of the mistake that I see is the avoidance, the feeling like they're in it alone. Nobody else is in the similar situation. So
Mhm.
they're embarrassed. And then it's
Mhm.
the fix I would suggest is taking baby steps instead of trying to fix it all at one time. And this is another mistake is not seeking help when you need help. So that's the other thing that I see often. And I can't impress upon the audience enough when there is something you need help with, such as getting your money right, and you are unable to take the steps alone, seek out an accountability partner, seek out an expert. There's many out there. Do your research. Make sure it's a person that is
Mhm.
solid in what they do that can
Exactly.
assist you. But don't avoid it because it's not going to go away.
Mm. I love the baby steps. And I think all of us really need to chunk things out so we don't get overwhelmed. I even find in my own life when it comes to my work
Mm.
or even things I have to do that I don't want to do around the house. And I think fair enough regarding money. Again, it goes back to we try to plan best we can with
Yes,
what we have. However, we don't know the future. You mentioned rising costs, inflation, increasing medical costs, et cetera.
yes,
The volatility of the market, all of those things weigh heavy on us.
absolutely.
Great points. So, what can someone do to improve their situation with their finances, even if they feel like they're behind?
Yes. So one, just release the shame. Like it's okay. Like I do this work because I was in this position that these some listeners may be in. And it was understanding that it took me a while to get into that shameful place, right? So it's gonna take a little while to get out of that, but know that you can do it. You can get from point A to Z, but you have to go through Z, right? You won't go from A, I got all this debt, I got all these things going on, and then tomorrow everything is going to go away. So if you understand that, take, as I mentioned before, the consistent small steps, get the help if you need, and you can get to that other place. There is what I want to call a process. So you have to know your numbers, organize everything, understand what you have going on, and then work on it little by little. Little by little. So if debt is one of your situations, there's two ways from a credit card debt perspective. There's two ways that you can work through that you may hear about a lot, and that's avalanche and snowball method. I encourage the snowball method, and that is taking care of one debt at a time, the smallest one first, even though from an accumulative financial standpoint, that may not be the one that you pay. You'll end up paying more doing it that way, but you'll get the small incremental wins when you're doing it the snowball way. And the reason why I like that is for that reason, because if you have been so overwhelmed and stressed for so long, you want to feel good about taking the step to do it right, or I should say to get rid of the debt that you've been hanging over your head for some time. So it's really important to have those wins as you go along. So that's why I like the snowball method. And really quickly, I'll describe what that is. So if you have credit card debt, you want to pay all of your debt one time every single month. And the one with the um, lowest balance, you want to pay that one off first. So you want to attack that one first. So you pay everything on the due date. the minimum amount on the others. But the one that you're trying to get rid of first, that has the smallest balance, you put the most amount of money that you have extra from making sacrifices on other things and get rid of that one. When that one is gone, yay, you
Yay.
did that and celebrate that, right? Because that's a big deal. Because oftentimes we're trying to pay a little bit on all, or we don't pay anything on either of them. So it's really important to get that one. When you knock that away, don't close that card. You put that one away, and then there's strategies to how you keep that open, but that's a different conversation. And then you go to the next. So this money you've done with that card, take that, put that towards the next one. That should be a larger dollar amount because that one is gone. And then continue to pay small on the others as well. And you keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that. And credit yourself, give yourself, some Yahoo when you pay off each of those when you go forward. So that's from a credit card debt perspective. Then I always say to people, make sure that you sock in some away for later, right? And please don't leave here and say, I'm going to take half of my check because Patrina said I need to put some away. I want you to do small amounts consistently.
Yeah.
And if you work for an employer, have them stock it away in a savings account that's a high yield savings. So you're earning the most for the money you're putting away. And I call that your Patrina tax, if you will. So you're putting that away. So when there's something that comes up that's an emergency you have to take care of, Patrina has it because Patrina has stored it away in that bucket, if you will. And if you do that right off the top, have your employer, just like they directly deposit into your checking, have them directly deposit into your savings as well, that small portion, consistently every time you get paid, then before you know it, it's accumulated to a nice amount. And then as you minimize your debt, then you can increase that amount that you have directly deposited into that high yield savings account. So that's, I think that's some of the ways. It's all about progress. It's all about progress. So little by little, consistent, doing positive things, and then being empowered because now you're in control of your money.
I love a few things you mentioned I'm going to lift up. One is get over the shame and the embarrassment. I think that's critical. I love that you mentioned that. The other thing is being consistent in those habits, we'll call them, those healthy financial habits. And even like, as you say, for retirement, even if it's a little bit consistently. Now, have all of us done that? No, sometimes, like you were saying earlier about that fund, if you will, that emergency fund, which when we talk about financial planning, that comes up. And I think that's definitely wise because that's exactly what it is, an emergency fund. And you don't know, sometimes you'll have 2 or 3 big significant expenses occur at the same time. And again, it goes back to what you said earlier. It's an unknown. And so you're preparing for that. I think that's a really interesting. What does financial wellness really mean beyond the budgeting?
And we'll get that answer after a brief word from our commercial sponsors.
Nassau is always working harder to be your carrier of choice. We offer insurance products that can help you meet your retirement goals, such as protecting your savings, securing lifetime income, or paying for healthcare costs. We're dedicated to providing best-in-class service and are keeping things simple, and we'll have your back. We have around 400,000 policyholders and contract holders and have been doing this for a long time, 170 years, but we remain humble enough to always try to improve. For more information, visit nfg.com. Nassau insurance products are issued by Nassau Life and Annuity Company of Hartford, Connecticut, Nassau Life Insurance Company, East Greenbush, New York, or Nassau Life Insurance Company of Kansas, Overland Park, Kansas. Subsidiaries of Nassau Financial Group. Products are not available in all areas. Policyholder counts are for all Nassau companies as of September 30th, 2022, and are subject to change.
I love this question. For me, it's a peace of mind. Like being stressed with finances having financial situations bring about stress, right? And life is stressful in itself, like day by day, lives, right? So when your finances are managed, now I want to make sure your audience understands this. This doesn't mean you're debt free. This doesn't mean you have whatever dollar amount in the bank. If you have that, that's great. If you're debt free, that's great. But this means that you have control over your money. This means that it's not stressing you out. This doesn't mean that it means that it's not controlling you. And that's what the whole It's My Money brand is about. It's my money. I'm going to do right by it. I'm going to take care of it. And you have a sense of aha when that has happened. So wellness is about taking care of yourself, and yourself includes your finances. So making right choices, having, I'm not going to say no anxiety, but lessen your anxiety about your financial situations, because you know your numbers, you've organized everything, you have a plan. So that's being well about it, doing the right things about it. Just like your health, if you go for your primary care visit, you go for all the other visits that you need to do on an annual basis. That's the same thing you want to do with your money. You go do the things that make your financial wellness better. And you do that by owning it, taking control, making better decisions, and not be making reactive decisions. So I think that is part of adding to the anxiety and stress, is when you're reacting to something because you are unaware. When you are aware, when you are in control of your money and finances, then you make better decisions, and things aren't coming at you like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know this, or I forgot about this bill, because you're looking at it on a very regular basis.
I agree with you that stress can make you very reactionary versus being proactive, because you're like, oh, I need to do something now. And like you said earlier, maybe I think I need to do something big all at once. And that's not necessarily what's going to help you in the best way.
That's
What's
right.
one financial habit that can make the biggest difference over time?
Oh, paying yourself first. I alluded to that earlier. Oftentimes people tell me that they don't have enough to do this. And what I mean by paying yourself first is putting something away for the future, and doing it in little increments and increase it as you go along. That's why I call it automated and forget about it. So you automate it, and I literally call it the Patrina tax, because you don't control like the taxes. They come out, they'll, whatever it is, right? You start with a gross and you end up with the net, and in between there is some money that you don't have control. Other dollars you may have control over depending on what you do there, but put some away and put it in the place where you can earn the most, and that's in a high yield savings account. So I wish I had done this a lot sooner than I did. I began adding that into my strategy, but it wasn't at the very beginning. That's why this is so important. When you begin to become more financially astute, you begin making better decisions, and as you continue to learn as you go, so you can add more things into your strategy. But I think paying myself first is or paying yourself first is such a
Is the biggest.
it's the biggest one
That's
by
the
far.
biggest one,
Yes.
the biggest
And,
habit. Yeah.
and that's why I always suggest automating it, because once you get it, like I call that your net in your checking, and then you do the other things. And then if there's some left, then you want to put it aside potentially could put it aside to save. If you have it taken off the top, once you get what you get into your checking, that's what you operate from. So that's why I suggest automating it. And then again, where you automate it to is very important, because if you automate it to a savings account that's yielding you 0.01 interest, it's 0.01. It's not zero, but there is other places you can stock it where you can earn more.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
And we talk about annuities and lifetime guaranteed income. That's a different phase,
Yes.
but it's about that consistency and automation, as you said earlier, which I really think is important, because then you don't have to think about it. It just is automatically done, helping you build that nest egg that you've worked so hard for.
That's right.
And so, yeah. How can couples or families get on the same page financially? Because I know that can also be a little bit of a discord.
I say conversations, communications about finances. Oftentimes, and like I said, I've been doing this work for a long time. It's, oh, my husband takes care of it, or my wife takes care of it, which is great. Whoever hits the submit button, that's fine. Both of you don't need to sit there and do that. But for one of the other not knowing what is happening, like that's a recipe, in my opinion, for disaster. I think everybody, if it's from a couple perspective, or if other people are involved in the family discussion, it's about communicating on the right level. So meaning, if you want to include children in there, then it's depending on their ages how much you want to talk about it, but it should be talked about so they understand what's going on. And I always say, when they begin to recite words, lyrics of songs. They're ready to you're ready to introduce financial financial topics and habits with them. But from a couple standpoint, I think communication regularly, ensure you're on the same pages with your goals so that you're working simultaneously and collectively on those goals. And communication for sure is key. And the other thing is, and this is not just for couples, this is for everybody, when you are interacting, when you're listening to podcasts such as this one and you learn more information, your decision or your shared goal may evolve. So that's why continued conversations are important. You may have sat down at the beginning of 2025 for a year or 2-year plan, but let you learn something else. You weren't saving and you want to begin saving, you want, different things. So now you have to revisit what the shared goal is so that you all can be working towards what that evolved goal or thought process is on your overall security, your vision, the flexibility and what you want to do, the vacations you want to take, whatever it may be. So I think from a couple standpoint, it would be being on the same page, constant communication. From an extended family standpoint, and I mean children in your home, it depending on the ages, I say include them in the conversation, especially in the education part of it. So that's what I would say with that. And then elder children that also may live in the house, ensure that they're contributing financially. It doesn't mean that what I did with my daughter is when she paid, when she was older and working, I put that money aside for her, and that money was used for her or given to her to do when she went out on her own. So it was more about the habit of knowing that you have to take care of the roof over your head or whatever have you, versus you got to pay this or I'm going to put you out kind of thing. So, and I'm so glad that I did that because it encouraged her to maintain those habits when she did go out on her own, and she was ready financially because of what I had done in that regard.
That's great. It really is a good teaching moment that creates lifetime habits. So as we get near the end of our conversation, Patrina, would you share a couple of key takeaways that you would like our audience to remember from our conversation today? And then I'm going to ask you our final question that we ask all of our guests.
Key takeaways: know your numbers. Know your numbers. You can't go blind. And let me tell you, those of you that say, I budget up here, life's every day. Things I woke up today to something that I was not expecting. And if I had, okay, I'm going to do this bill, pay this bill, or do whatever it is, that would have been out the window. So know your numbers, track them, write them down. Write it down and make it plain. That's what I say. Write it down and make it plain. And if you've never done that before, I encourage literally writing down with paper and pen. And then you can graduate to an app or whatever it is that you want to use from a digital perspective, and know what you have coming in exactly, and know what you have going out exactly. And I know this isn't proper English, but the math won't math. The math ain't mathing if you don't use right numbers. So in this situation, you don't round up or down. If you get $1,222.72, that's the number you start with. It's not 1,200, because that's not what the number is. So then it'll have a ripple effect in the wrong way if you don't use the right number. So that's really important. The second would be pay yourself first, and do that by automating in a high yield saving. I can't impress upon you enough how important that is. And you may think in your head, well, Patrina, I don't have enough to take care of what I'm taking care of. Start small. I promise you, the adjustment of just a small number, you'll find that it's possible to happen, and you just may have to sacrifice one of your wants in order to make that happen. And as you begin to see that number grow, then you can modify it to have that small number go to a larger number, and then a larger number, or start small consistently into a high yield savings. The other thing I want to say is have conversations, especially if you're, in a coupled situation, whatever that may be. You want to make sure that you all are on the same page and you're working towards the same financial goals. And lastly, I'll say is, don't beat yourself up about what you haven't done to this point. If you're hearing this conversation, is you've decided, I want to listen because I want to do something differently, and you can. So now it's about executing on things that you learned. It's okay, whatever didn't happen, You can't erase that, but you can be in control of going forward. So that's what I would say for things to take away. It's possible. Execution will be important, and continue reviewing of what you have coming in and going out on a regular basis.
And also what I hear is it's never too late and the past doesn't equal the future. I like the inspiration, and I love your educating, and like all good instructors or teachers, professors, you're trying to build confidence when you talked about those small wins. That made total sense to me right away. So our last question that we ask all of our guests is, you've done a lot of interesting things in your life. I know I've witnessed them. Why do you wake up every day and do what you do?
Oh, because owning your finances is transformational. When I learned how to do it better, it transformed my life. So I think that feeling that I got when I got to that place, and it doesn't mean you won't make another mistake, but it'll be in a very different place, a very different headspace, if you will. It is so refreshing. And I know that I didn't do it, not because my mom didn't want to teach me. She didn't know what she didn't know, so she couldn't teach me.
Right.
I didn't learn it in school. So where was I going to get it? So I said, instead of wondering that, let me be the one that go out and teach people how to do this when I learned how to do it differently. So that's why there's more people that need to know. So I want to be one of the ones that's helping them learn how to do it better so that they could live their best life.
They say what you want for yourself, you should want for others. And that's what I heard. And Patrina, if individuals want to get in touch with you, what's the best way? We're going to put everything else in the show notes.
Yes. The best way to get a hold of me is on my website, tsmymoney.info. So I'll leave you all with this, and that is, the only situation that can place a limitation on your elevation to your financial destination is procrastination. So just do it. You got this.
That's definitely memorable. I love it. It's going to be singing in my head all day. Patrina, it's been way too long. It's so great to see you again and spend time with you.
Likewise.
And so thank you for joining me today, and, give love to Kelly and your mom and everyone in your family. And to our listeners, we thank you for joining us on the Prime Life podcast. Tell your friends about us, your colleagues, and we look forward to chatting with you again next week. Thank you so much, and have a great day, everyone.
Bye.